live on this beautiful Wednesday evening, October 8th, 2025, heading into week 6 of the NFL season. Can't believe we're already here. Week 6. It flies by. It really does. And yeah, it's been an interesting fantasy year, to say the least, to start. But we're here. We're here answering questions if you have them, talking football if you have them, checking out the matchups here. And let's see how week 6 is going to be. We only have 2 teams on a bye, right? Only 2 teams on a bye. NFL teams on a bye this week. Week 6. Let's see here. NFL teams on a bye. Just the Texans and Vikings are the only 2 teams on a bye this week. I know. So the NFL, I don't ever remember them doing this, but I feel like it was pretty spread out. Maybe I just never really paid attention to it before, but they used to spread out the bye weeks where it was like everyone, you never had more than 4 teams on a bye at a time. And now they do this thing where they have 2 teams and then they have 6 teams, or they have no teams or something like that. So kind of a weird thing. I don't know if they started that recently or not. I don't know. But that is how it is. So we are into week 6. We're getting to crunch time, man. If you're sitting there 500 or whatever, you got to make a move. If you're sitting there at 1-4 or something, you feel like you got to make a move. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough out there. If you started off 1-4, 2-3, 1-4, 0-5, you kind of have to win out almost. So we're here to kind of help you hopefully do that. So Random Posts says, just traded Henry for Judkins, and I just lost Hampton and Benson to IR. What should I do? Trade for another running back? I'm forced to start Travion as my RB2 this week. I mean, that's tough. It's tough losing Hampton and Benson. I assume there's no one on the waiver wire. What's your record there, Random Post? That might help me a little bit to see, do you need to make a move or do you not need to make a move? Are you 3-2? Are you 4-1? What's your record here? Because that is going to help me a little bit in determining kind of what you should do here. So let me know there, Random Posts, when you find out. Because, if you're sitting there at 3-2, if you're sitting there at 4-1, 5-0, I feel like you can afford to wait a week to see what Travion is this week. With Antonio Gibson getting hurt, do they finally bump up Travion Henderson's workload? Ramondre Stevenson keeps on fumbling, but they seem to not care, I guess. They seem to not really care, and so they continue to start. They continue to start him. So sorry, I'm just trying to put on the other baseball game here. Yankees lost. If you're a Yankees fan, sorry. If you don't watch baseball, then ignore what I said. But anyways, the reason why Random Post is because if you're sitting there with a decent record, so you're 2-2, it's a 13-man PPR. So I had a bye in week 4. My other running backs are Jordan Mason, Drake May. My other players are Jordan Mason, who's on a bye, right? Drake May, Caleb Williams, Nico Collins, JSN, Ted, BTJ, Tyler Warren. Yeah, I think you have a really nice core there with JSN, Nico Collins, Judkins, Teteroa McMillan, I think is a solid player. If Teteroa McMillan, considering how Teteroa McMillan has started off the year, right? He hasn't been amazing for fantasy, right? He's been pretty consistent. He hasn't busted at all. He's literally in PPR here. Teteroa McMillan is the wide receiver 25 in PPR, right? He's a little bit lower in points per game, 32 in points per game. He's literally not had a bust game. He's had double-digit points in 4 or 5 weeks. If he has one big game one big game, if he has like a huge game, you know, an 8-10 catch game for 120, 130 and a touchdown, we're all going to be like, Teteroa McMillan is a top fantasy piece. It just takes one blow up game for him. So you have a solid core here. Again, with Judkins, with Nico Collins, with Drake May, with Caleb, you know, two good quarterbacks there. JSN, Teteroa McMillan, BTJ. Hopefully, like he can go on a stretch run. I'm not banking on it. Tyler Warren. So I kind of don't want to overreact too much. Random post. You're 2-2. I think you can afford to. I think you can afford to see what Travion's workload is this week. And if you lose because of it, you'll be sitting there at 2-3 after 6 weeks, which isn't terrible, right? You're sitting there. You'll be sitting there, 2-3 after 6 weeks, and then you can kind of reevaluate and make a move, right? So, what is Travion going to be? We don't know yet. Antonio Gibson was averaging over the last 4 weeks was averaging about 20% of the snaps. So literally 20% of the snaps are available now, and I hope 15 of that percentage, 15% of those snaps go to Travion Henderson. If you were to make a move, I would look to trade one of my quarterbacks if possible, right? I don't know how valuable. I assume it's a one quarterback league. I assume it's a one QB league, and so I don't know if quarterbacks going to be super valuable. But can you trade one of those quarterbacks for a player? Is there anyone on waiver? I assume there's no one on waiver wire, but yeah. I think you can afford to wait, though. What's up, Joseph? Steelers defense or Packers defense? I better pull up my rankings. By the way, guys, hit the like button on this video, please, por favor. It gives us more views and all of that. That's good. That's an interesting one. So you got Green Bay going up. They're at home against Cincinnati, coming off a bye week. Cincinnati is starting Joe Flacco. Steelers are at home playing Cleveland. I probably go Steelers, I think. Joe Flacco can sling it around, and now he has, these are probably the two best weapons that Joe Flacco's ever had in his career. Is that right? I know he played with like Steve Smith, who was a little bit older, Anquan Bolden, who was a little bit older, Torrey Smith and stuff. But like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, if Flacco, now the concern with Flacco week one is like it's kind of hard to come into a team and just like, here's your new team, here's a whole new playbook, learn it. But they have a week to prepare. I think I go Steelers. They're both top 5 for me. I liked the Packers before they got Flacco, and so I think I prefer the Steelers a little bit more. I don't mind either one though, Jeff. So what I probably would do is kind of look at their schedules in the future, because I don't like holding on to two defenses. So Steelers get the Browns, Bengals, Packers, Colts. Okay. Packers get Bengals, Cardinals, Steelers, Panthers. I'll probably just roll with the Packers. If I had to choose based on that to hold one, I'm going to hold the Packers. So Flex Scadaboo or Tony Pollard? Yeah, that's an interesting one because we don't know. We haven't really seen, Tyrone Tracy healthy with Scadaboo since Scadaboo's broken out. I know it's, he just kind of broke out a couple of weeks ago, right? But I probably go Scadaboo. Ooh, he's playing the Eagles. That's a tough one. I lean Scadaboo because I'm a little bit more confident in him getting more catches. It is going to be interesting what that backfield's like with Tyrone Tracy back. So So if you are a little bit worried about that, I don't think Pollard's a terrible pivot. Pollard's had 8 catches the last 3 weeks, so he should be good for 2 or 3 catches. Playing an easier defense, in my opinion. So I think I would still lean Scatterboo. But I wouldn't hate you if you were a little bit worried about the Eagles and Tyrone Tracy that you wanted to pivot to Tony Pollard there, Jeff. So where are the Eagles at? Eagles are not great against running backs to start the year. They give up the 8th most points to start the year, right? So who have the Eagles played? The Eagles have played the Cowboys, and they gave up 119 yards rushing. The Chiefs, they gave up 121 yards rushing. I know a lot of that was to Mahomes. The Rams, they gave up 160. The Buccaneers, 100. A decent amount of that was probably to Baker. And then 130 to the Broncos. So, Eagles haven't been great against the run. So I lean Scatterboo personally. I lean Scatterboo. We got to that. So Mando says started with Bowers, Daniels, CD. Now Hampton, it's tough. Start 2 full PPR, Monty, Swift, Haskins, or can swap out Pittman from the flex and start all 3 of these. Yeah. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Okay, so started with so you got decimated by injuries, basically. That's tough. Start 2 full PPR, Monty, Swift, Haskins, or can swap out Pittman from the flex and start all 3. I'm not benching Pittman. There's no reason to bench Pittman. It's kind of funny, and I'm not saying anything against you, Mando, or anything, but it's kind of funny because we all do this. Like, perception and how we thought about players heading into the fantasy season influences us so much that even like what we see on the field over the first 5 weeks, we still have in the back of our head. But it's Michael Pittman, like we weren't very high on Michael Pittman. And the reason we weren't that high on Michael Pittman is because of the offense, right? But then we've gone 5 weeks, and Michael Pittman is a wide receiver 13 in PPR. He's had 4 good games, 1 down game, but it was 8 points, so it wasn't a complete bust. He's catching touchdowns. He's doing it in a way that we didn't expect Michael Pittman to do it. He has 4 touchdowns this year, which we kind of think of Michael Pittman more as like a PPR guy. I'm not benching Pittman. He's done nothing. He's done nothing for me to feel like I need to bench him at all. So between Monty, Swift, Haskins, I'm going to go David Montgomery. I'm going to go DeAndre Swift. Those are the 2 I'm going to go there. I don't know. I don't know what the Chargers backfield is going to look like. I really don't know. I know a lot of people are pointing to that they cut, they put Kamani Vidal on the practice squad and they kept Haskins on the active roster. My counter to that is I do agree that that's something to think about, right? Why did they not keep Vidal and why did they keep Hassan Haskins? I will say this though, if you look at Hassan Haskins' snap share on special teams, he is playing a majority of the special teams plays. The first 4 weeks before Hampton got hurt, 60, 66, 62, and 54% of the special team snaps. Basically, he's out there on all the special team plays except for extra points, essentially is what that means. Because normally you don't have, you have defensive players on the extra point field goal blocking, and then you have usually like offensive linemen and tight ends on the field goal, kicks. And so that could be a reason why they kept Haskins, is that they wanted him, they preferred him on special teams, on kick coverage and punt coverage and all of that. So, and it has nothing to do with, but if we need them to run the ball, we might like Vidal more or something like that, right? So all that being said, I think Monty and Swift are very good options. I don't think you can be benching those guys for Hassan Haskins, okay? They've been playing well. There's no reason to bench those guys at all. DeAndre Swift is a top 24 running back, like he's always been his entire career in Montgomery. Although I do have a little bit of some concerns with him. He's a top 16 guy, so that's who I'm rolling with there, Mando. No one good on waivers. Who should I play this week? So you're playing Nico, JSN. So one quarterback, two running back, two wide receivers, and a flex. So Nico, JSN are in. I guess Travion and Judkins are in. Obviously, Tyler Warren is in. Between Drake May and Caleb, my gut instinct goes to May, but they're both pretty good options. Yeah, I go with May there. And then I'm probably flexing Tetaroa and McMillan at this point. I'm probably flexing Tetaroa and McMillan. So we saw some signs of life for Brian Thomas. Here's the thing about Brian Thomas is if you're still winning with him, you obviously have a good team. He still has the opportunity to have I wouldn't be shocked if we're Brian Thomas wins a bunch of people their fantasy leagues because he just goes off over weeks 14 through 17 or something like that. So he's that type of receiver. But at this point, I'm starting Tetaroa and McMillan over him. What do you do when you have a tummy ache? I curl up in a ball and I cry. No, I really like mineral water. I drink mineral water, probably too much. So I have some mineral water. What's your cure, Joseph? Do you have a cure there? By the way, Joseph, is there anyone I can poach off your team in Zeus that you're looking to trade potentially? By the way, I got a sleeper update. What was it? Oh, nothing too much there. Yeah, I don't know how. What's funny, Joseph, is I have 3 listener leagues in Dynasty. Zeus was probably the one I felt not the greatest about. And it's the one it is the one I'm doing the best in. The one I felt awesome about, honestly, the one listener league, the Poseidon League, that I thought this was one of my best teams out of all my teams. I started off 2-8. So it just goes to show. I was like, oh my God, this team, I'm deep. I'm starting all these guys, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it hasn't worked out there. But I disappeared there for a second. I backed out. My bad. Should I play May or Caleb? Yeah, so I would go with May. They're both good options, though. I got to start both Tet and BTJ, I think, because Nico's on a bye. That's right. That's fine, though. That's fine. I don't mind starting Tet and BTJ. I know it sucks, but yeah, you know what he's capable of. At least you know. So, okay. Send offers. Yeah, it's just I still don't know how I feel about that. I definitely don't want to mortgage picks or young players in that league, or get rid of picks and young players, because I feel like it's kind of it's a good team, but I'm also still reaching to start some guys with Bucky being out. I'm gonna have to start someone like a Hollywood Brown. Which Hollywood Brown has been okay, at least in this type of league. Yeah, who else am I going to start here? Who else am I going to start? I don't know. Mac Hollins is in my freaking lineup. I'll come to you, Joe. I'll come to you there. The Smitty says my running backs are Monty, Rashad White, Henderson, Marks. My running backs are Monty, Rashad White, Henderson, and Marks. Is Brees Hall a good running back to trade for? If you could, what 3 would you want to keep? I mean, I definitely want to keep Montgomery. I mean, okay. Are you saying like you're trying to trade one of these guys or something? I guess is what you're getting at. I mean, my favorite of those are Monty and Rachaad White until Bucky comes back. Those are my 2 favorite. But how long is Bucky out? We don't know, right? Travion, we're gonna see. We know the potential's there, although I know he's not playing a lot, but he also hasn't really looked great when he has played. But you got about a 20% snap share of Antonio Gibson gone, so you hope that mostly goes to Travion, but we'll see. I mean, is Brees a good running back to trade for? Sure. I think the Jets have a very good schedule coming up. And I'm kind of excited about the Jets players in general. So they get the Broncos this week, which is tough. But then after that, they get the Panthers, Bengals, Browns, Patriots, Ravens, Falcons, Dolphins, Jags, Saints, Patriots, and Bills. So like the only ones besides the Broncos that I'm like kind of concerned about is obviously the Browns and then the Patriots. Like I don't know where the Patriots are yet. So like I really like the schedule for I really like the schedule for the Jets. So yeah, I think Brees Hall is a good running back to trade for. Somehow I lost Jason Sanders and Spencer Strader both to injuries. I just picked up Michael Badgley as the new Colts kicker. That's rough. You lose your kickers too, man. I guess your team's cursed there, random posts. No worries, down with fun. Glad you make it. Is Nyheim Hines the guy for the Chargers? I don't think so. But I mean, the guy hasn't had a carry in the NFL since what, 2022? Is that the last time he had a carry? Yeah, he had 6 carries in 2022. So I don't think he is. I think maybe he's just more special teams and stuff. I have no idea who the guy is for the Chargers. I have no idea. My gut is basically like neither of these guys are going to be great for fantasy. Like Vidal and Haskins, they're both going to get used, but neither of them are going to be great. So, but who knows? Go pick up Amar Johnson in deep dynasty stash there. Amar Johnson, he's on the team there. 12 team. What's up, J-Dabs? 12 team dynasty PPR. Would you give Olave and ETN for London? My running backs are Judkins, ETN, Scattaboo, Bill, and then dart throws. Wide receivers are Amon-Ra, Adunze, Igbuka, Olave, Devontae. You have a nice wide receiver core there. I mean, Olave is clearly, for Dynasty, he's clearly your number 4. For this year, he's probably your number 5, right behind Devontae. Yeah, I like that trade, Dabs. I like that trade. Unless, are you playing in a really, really deep league and are you trying to compete? I assume you're trying to win it this year. You have a good team with Judkins, ETN, Bill and Scattaboo, Amon-Ra, Dunze. So I think I would take London in Dynasty over Olave and ETN. I believe. I think I would. But if I was trying to win this year, I don't know if that's going to be the best for you to try and win this year. But at the same time, like that's what's fun about Dynasty is you have to balance of like what helps me win. I can't just have a mindset of like I need to just win this year. I mean, obviously you want to win this year, but like you want to also have the mindset of like I want to build a dynasty, right? And so I think you building a dynasty, that's a good move. For this year, though, I don't know if it's the best move for you to make. But I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. Drake London's an interesting one. Like, it's really going to depend on like if this Falcons offense, like what is this Falcons offense? Is it like week 1 and week 4 that we saw, or is it like week 2 and week 3 that we saw? Right. That's kind of like where we're at with the Falcons offense. So London, last time we saw him, he had a great game. I believe the Falcons have a decent schedule coming up. I mean, they play in the NFC South. They play the Bills, 49ers. That's not great. But then they get Dolphins, Patriots, Colts. Yeah, maybe they don't have the greatest schedule. I don't mind that trade, Dabs. Apple season. It is apple season, right? Fall apple season. All about the apples. What's your favorite apple? Put it in the chat. I think mine is a Honeycrisp apple. Really like the Honeycrisp apple. I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to say Granny Smith. As long as you don't say Red Delicious. Red Delicious to me are the worst app. Not the worst apples, but man, it's like the stereotypical apple you give to a teacher, the Red Delicious. They're just too like mushy or something. I don't know. I used to get them all the time. My mom used to always pack them in my lunch, the Red Delicious. And so I think maybe I just got like tired of them or something. Apple season says Caleb Williams, HN, Charbonnet, Jacoby, Devontae Smith, Darren Waller, Flournoy, Chubb, Hampton, Nico, Kittle, Love, Mooney, Purdy, Mixon. What move should I make if I had to trade Hampton? Who for? You're 1-4. So yeah, you're looking to trade Omarion Hampton to a league, a team who is 4-1, 5-0, right? That's probably the only teams that are going to want to take Hampton at this point. Now, who do you trade him for is tough. I mean, you're missing him for 4 weeks, and it doesn't matter if Hampton comes back and tears it up if you go 1-3 in those 4 weeks. If you go 2-7 and then he comes back, right? You're probably going to miss the playoffs. So I would trade Hampton away for really any top 20-ish type of player that's going to help your team. I'll say this though, like you have a solid team with Achane, Caleb Williams, Nico Collins, Kittle. So yeah, I think you can go either way. I think you can use a stud running back or a stud wide receiver. I mean, can you package Hampton with a Devonta Smith or Jacoby Myers and like really get like a top 10 guy? If you could somehow package a Hampton to get a top 10 guy, I would probably do that because it's really your only chance to make the playoffs. I don't think you're going to survive the next 4 weeks without Omarion Hampton. So can I package him? Can I package him with a Jordan Love, with a Mooney, with a Jacoby Myers, a Charbonnet, a Devonta Smith, right? Package those two players and get a top 10 guy. Is that possible? Might be. It might be. I think the only way you're going to get a top 10 guy is if you give them someone that they can also start while Hampton's out, or else it doesn't really make sense for them to do it. So yeah, it's hard to say like you go trade for this guy without really knowing your league. So real quick, guys, if obviously hit the like button for us, helps get more eyes on the video, but join our Discord. You'll know when we go live each and every time. We also do team reviews. If you want your team reviewed, we do charge. We don't charge a lot. It's $15 for a team review. It's $25 for 2. Pretty reasonable considering what I've seen other people charge and stuff like that. We'll break down your team. We'll make a video for you. We go into depth. This will be a 30-45 minute video that we'll kind of break down. We've done them before on this channel, whether it's dynasty or redraft. We'll do them for you, and we'll kind of tell you like these are the moves you should make and the players you should go for and all of that. So, yeah, but yeah, it's tough to just say like, go trade for this guy without really knowing like your league and the context there a little bit. Just did a Walker and Pollard for JJ and redraft. Should I be worried about? So you just traded Kenneth Walker and Pollard for McCarthy in redraft? Is that what you're saying, Victor? In Superflex or one quarterback, or if it's one quarterback, I don't love that. Let me know if that's what you mean, though. You traded Walker and Pollard for JJ, or you got Walker and Pollard? Should I be worried about McCarthy? I mean, I don't know if you should be worried about him. I mean, he's not really anyone I want to start in redraft right now in a one quarterback league. You got JJ in a super flex. Got it. Okay, that makes it more it makes more sense that you traded those two for him. I don't know if I would have done that though. I don't. It depends on your team and your depth and what what were Pollard and Kenneth Walker to you? Were they major starters in your team? Were they more fringe starters? Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know what's honestly. I can't properly say what this is what JJ McCarthy is. We've seen 2 games from the guy. Really, we've seen 1 really good quarter from him and 7 really bad quarters from him. So I think he's going to be good because I think this system and the players that he's throwing to are really good. I don't know if he's going to be a difference maker this year, though. I don't think, I was telling people even before the season, like, don't expect Sam Darnold numbers from JJ McCarthy. People were JJ McCarthy, his value was kind of in a weird way, like his value was inflated by Sam Darnold and how well Sam Darnold played for the Vikings. But Darnold had years of experience, and Darnold had, has legitimate arm talent and stuff like that. So, the biggest thing with him is that you hope he runs the ball. That's the biggest thing with McCarthy. You hope he gives you 3 to 4 points on the ground each and every week, and then you're going to be looking pretty good. So, Nino, send CMC and Jacoby for Josh Jacobs, Tetaroa, and Franklin. Really need wide receiver help still. Everyone needs wide receiver help. Wide receivers has sucked this year. Send CMC and Jacoby for Jacobs, Tetaroa, and Franklin. Man, I don't want Nino. Is this like how many starters do you have in this league again in your leagues? Like, are you just starting like a kind of a standard, quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, tight end, flex, or do you play in deeper leagues? Because like if you play in those, like most people play in shallow, what I consider shallow leagues, which is what I just said, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex, or maybe 3 wide receivers. If you play in that type of league, I don't want to trade CMC in those leagues. Because, man, those players that put up massive, massive points. Thank you, Nino. Wide receivers are Diggs, Jacoby, Ellick. And yeah, it's normal, but 2 flexes. Okay, so slightly deeper. I really, really don't want to get rid of CMC in those type of leagues, man, because all you really need in those leagues are like 2 to 3 huge hits, like huge, stud players. And then you just need everyone else to kind of do their job, right? Jacoby Myers, give me 12, 13 PPR points or whatever, like stuff like that. Now, I'm not trying to say anything against Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is a great player. I don't mind it. I don't mind it because I don't know if you were here when I was talking about Tetaroa and McMillan, but where we're at with Tetaroa right now is he's been a pretty productive player. He hasn't had a huge game, but he has 4 or 5 games in double-digit PPR points, 1 game with 8 points. So he hasn't busted. He hasn't exploded. But if he has 1 big game, all it takes for him over the next couple of weeks is to have 1 big game, and we're going to start looking, and his numbers are going to look great. He's going to be in the top 15. He's going to look awesome. I don't mind that trade for that reason. Like Tetaroa McMillan is kind of giving you a wide receiver 2/3 floor, and we still don't know the upside of him. But I think it's pretty promising that a rookie, I know he's a top 10 pick, but a rookie is already a top 25 wide receiver. And we know that rookies generally take a few weeks to kind of get going. And so you assume he's going to take it to that next step. So I don't mind the trade. To me, this trade really comes down to CMC and Jacoby for Jacobs and Tetaroa Franklin, to me, like, I think he's an interesting player in deeper leagues. I love Franklin in best ball. I love Franklin, but honestly, in a two flex league, if you're starting Troy Franklin consistently, as of right now, where we're at with him right now, you're probably going to be losing. So that could change potentially, but you know, I don't know if it's going to. So I don't mind the trade. I kind of want to keep CMC though. I think because like at the same time, I know we don't love the Raiders offense and stuff like that, but like at the same time, Jacoby Myers hasn't been terrible. He kind of has been the last couple of weeks, I guess, but that's more on Gino. I don't mind the trade, Nino. I don't mind it. But man, it's hard for me to get rid of CMC in those type of leagues. It really is. But again, Josh Jacobs is not like a huge. It's a huge downgrade, not because Josh Jacobs sucks or anything, but because CMC is just amazing, man. Like he really is. Now, if you're worried about injury, I think that's a legitimate concern. But down with fun. Also, this could be nonsense, but there is a rumor floating around Stafford isn't playing the next 2 weeks. Interesting. I haven't heard that one. I have not heard that Matthew Stafford news. Interesting. Where did you hear that from, Down with Fun? I'm curious. There. Travion, if Travion doesn't do good this week, should I try to trade for a different running back? If so, what kind of players should I give for who? Yeah, I mean, if Travion doesn't do well this week, you probably need to. I mean, going back to your team of like, you really only have Judkins right now. You lost Hampton and Benson. There's going to be other running backs that are going to pop up on the waiver wire. I would be stashing every single handcuff running back out there. Make sure to have those guys because it just takes one injury for your running back room to go from meh to like, oh, it actually looks good. So it's tough to say like random posts like, oh, this is who you should go for again without really knowing like your league and context and stuff like that. Do join our Discord if you're not in there, and you can post your league. If you plan sleeper, you can post your league ID. And then I can kind of see like the entire league and say, oh, maybe you should target this guy or that guy or whatever. But yeah, I think you do need to start looking for a running back if Travion doesn't do well this week. So the problem is I don't really want to be trading much from your team besides one of your quarterbacks. You're really going to have to package a quarterback and maybe Tyler Warren, and you go and just stream tight end. Can you package Tyler Warren with a quarterback, stream tight end, and get a big time running back? That's probably the direction I would go. I do like apples. Victor. I do like my favorite fruit though. So I personally feel like the banana is the best fruit out of all the fruits. And on my tier list, it's S tier, the banana. Now, I'm not saying the banana has the best flavor, but I'm saying if you take into account a lot of factors, one, it's cheap. For fruit, banana is quite cheap. It can be used and mixed with a lot of things. It can be used in like your cereal, on a peanut butter sandwich, even if you want, a little bit of a savory dish and you throw a banana. Banana is very versatile, right? It's very easy to eat on the run. You grab a banana, you can eat it while you're driving. You can eat it on when you're walking down the road. It can hold you over for an hour. I'm hungry, but lunch is an hour away. You eat a banana, it holds you over. So all those things that you take into account, I think the banana is the best fruit. It's the top fruit in my opinion. My personal favorite fruit when it comes to just flavor is mangoes. I love mangoes. I can eat mangoes forever. So, but I do like apples. I like apples. There's something about like grabbing an apple and like biting into it. Like it feels good. Like it feels like, I don't know. It just feels like, yeah, I'm eating an apple. I feel cool, just like talking to someone or walking and eating an apple. Um, but I don't like red delicious apples. I don't think they're delicious. I think they're red, but they're not delicious. So give me Granny Smith or Honey Crisp or something like that with apple, and I'm happy. So might be a hot take though. Banana, best fruit. Yeah, no problem, JDabs. No problem there. We'll try to help you out as much as possible. I want to do like a dynasty show, maybe like Friday afternoon, with my brother, and just kind of talk dynasty theory a little bit and some play. Like, I'm really interested in like kind of catching up a bit and really diving into like what has changed and stuff like that. Like Emeka Ibuka, and where he should be in the rankings kind of fascinates me a little bit. Like, I kind of posed this question, I think, on Monday evening, but who would you take, Malik Neighbors or Emeka Ibuka in Dynasty right now? Just straight up. If you're sitting there on the clock, and you're sitting there on the clock knowing that Malik Neighbors is out the rest of the year with an ACL, I don't think it's crazy to say you take Emeka Ibuka. He's on pace for a better season than Neighbors had last year, right? Again, only 5 games, but okay, we talked about that. Only problem is I just got 2 studs with CMC and McBride. But see, in that type of league, though, you kind of only need one more stud. And then you have these supplemental players, these top 24 guys around it, right? So like, you don't need a whole roster full of studs. You need, if CMC is going to give you, so let's just see. You're starting, what did we say? You're starting 8, right? And so like, I would say for the most part, if you're in a start 8, if you're putting up, and maybe I'm wrong, Nino, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in a start 8, right? If you're putting up 120 points or so, you're winning most weeks, right? I don't know what your scoring is exactly, just assuming it's kind of standard scoring, but that's 15 points per game from every player, right? I guess you might have a kicker and a defense too. So maybe like 130 or 40, right? Like, CMC is giving you, let's just say it's 130. CMC is basically giving you a quarter of that in one player. Like, you're getting a quarter of what you need to win each week in one guy. You just need everyone else. Like, he counts as like 2 guys essentially. So you just need everyone else to kind of like, all right, give me the 10 to 12 points to win each week, So obviously changes in the playoffs and stuff, but and honestly, it's funny, you mentioned McBride. McBride hasn't been a stud this year. I love McBride. I think he's awesome. He hasn't been a stud. Man, I hope something changes with Arizona. That team just seems like a little bit of a dumpster fire here. But McBride, he's been tied in 4. That's not stud worthy, and he's averaging 12.5 PPR points. So not to kind of rain on that, but Neighbors obviously killed it for me. Plus Chase Brown is booty cheeks is my RB2. Yeah. Chase Brown, man. Chase Brown. That sucks. I was worried about drafting Chase Brown where he was going in redraft. And then I kind of came around to it at the very end. I don't think I actually drafted him anywhere. Now, it's not 100% fair because of the Burrow injury and stuff. So, what's up, Marvin? Is Tootin droppable in redraft? I wouldn't drop him unless I'm dropping him for like someone that I need to start. If I don't need anyone, like if I don't need to start anyone, and I have enough other pieces there, like Tootin's fine on my bench. I'm not going to start him, but like if something happens to ETN, like Tootin's going to be awesome, right? So, I mean, yes, if you need the roster spot, but like no, in that I kind of view him as like, I don't know if he's truly a handcuff, but I kind of view him as like any of these other handcuff running backs that I want to have on my team, Tyler Algiers of the world, and the Rico Dowdles and Michael Carters. We saw how that's kind of worked out. So Joseph, I will try and look and send you some offers. Again, I'm not feeling like I want to trade any picks, any future picks here for this team with this team quite yet. Where are you? Where are you? Who are old players that you? Yeah, it's crazy, Joseph, that like your team was so bad, because I know you traded Henry, right? You had Henry and Chase and Lamb and Higgins and Olave, or maybe you traded for those guys, but like I know you had Henry, Chase, and Lamb, and like who would have thought that you would be doing well in this league? It's just kind of crazy. I'll see, Joseph. I'll see maybe like a lower tier player, like a Khalil Shakir or something like that. Just to kind of fill out my roster a little bit there. Those guys are pretty valuable in a 12 team start 12. So saw it on Reddit. Could be unfounded, but that's how some things leak these days. Sure, allegedly having a flare up. I could see that. I could see that. I mean, back problems don't just go away, right? For players, for people in general. So yeah, it would suck, man, because Stafford's playing well. Stafford is playing well. Stafford's one of those quarterbacks, like he could be just awesome. Like he could be playing like a top 5 quarterback, but fantasy wise, it's not translating because Kyron gets 25 touchdowns or something. But this year is different. Like it's translating this year. Stafford's been awesome. He's had 2 25-point plus weeks, an 18-point week, and then 2 other weeks that weren't necessarily great. But yeah, that would suck if that's true. That would suck for Nakua, Adams, Kyron. That would suck for a lot of people. Pareko, Walker or Travion this week, and Dart or Gabriel this week, and also rest of the season in Superflex. Walker versus Travion. Kenneth Walker versus Travion. Walker versus Travion. I assume this is PPR. I'm probably going to go Walker, but I like both. I like both as like low end RB2s with upside. Man, just with Walker, it's like Charbonnet's getting all the value touches. So I don't hate it if you want to go Travion and hope he gets more work, but we still haven't seen the workload from him. I think I'd still go Kenneth Walker there. Pareko. Dart or Dylan Gabriel. I'm going to go Dart for the rushing. Dart has over 50 yards rushing his first 2 weeks. So I think they both have tough matchups. I'll probably go Dart both this week and rest of season, just because of the rushing upside of Dart. I know Dylan Gabriel actually looked decent for his first start, but I don't think he has a big arm. I think he's going to be one of those quarterbacks that like you can easily shut him down with how he plays. If he's just going to dink and dunk this whole time, and stuff like that, like I think he's going to be easy to kind of game plan for, and good above average defenses are going to be able to kind of give him a hard time. So, yeah, I think I go Dart for both there. I turned the notice 100% tuned into a dynasty stream. Yeah. Well, I mean, during the offseason, J-Dabs, that's basically all we talk about is dynasty. Obviously, during the season, it's a little bit more redraft, week to week, what's happening this week focus. But I love talking dynasty. I love dynasty more than redraft. I love them both, but we literally scout rookies, all of that. Like, I'm not trying to toot our horn or anything, but I don't watch every single channel out there, but in terms of fantasy dynasty content, I listened to a lot. I didn't hear anyone talking about Jacory Krosky-Merritt. We talked about Jacory Krosky-Merritt back in late March, before the NFL draft. I didn't hear anyone talking about him until after the NFL draft. Like, we really go into the rookies and deep dives, and a lot of people found this channel through like deep dynasty stashes. And I've been kind of bad at making videos. I need to be more consistent on waiver wire, deep dynasty stash stuff. So those are going to be coming back here soon, more consistently. So yeah, join us, be around. I love just talking dynasty, and when we go live during the off season, it's going to be all dynasty. So, and we'll probably try and start another listener league. We started 3 dynasty listener leagues. Probably try and start a couple more if we can this off season. So, top 5 low darks. Half PPR, flex 1. Brees, Etienne, Sutton, Marvin Harrison Jr., BTJ. How the hell? We're out here. We got people talking about, should I start Hassan Haskins? And you're coming in here, and we can only start one of these guys. Brees Hall, Etienne, Sutton, Marvin Harrison Jr., BTJ. God, some people just have it all, man. Some people have it all. To me, Marvin Harrison Jr. is out. BTJ, both those guys are out between this group of players, right? So we'll eliminate those 2. I'm probably gonna go. To me, it's between Etienne and Brees Hall in half PPR. I'm not worried about Sutton. Like, I think Sutton's going to see a lot of Sauce Gardner. I don't think Sauce Gardner's been amazing this year, but I still think he has the capability to have a good game. Is he going to? I don't know. And Sutton's been awesome, but I think I'm going to go with either Brees Hall or Etienne. I think I lean Brees Hall. I don't mind if you want to go Etienne. Seattle has been pretty good against running backs in general. I know Rachaad White had a pretty good game against them last week, but that game was kind of insane. In terms of yards per carry, like, Seattle has been kind of shutting every running back down this year. I'm going to click on their team here. Seattle has given up total rushing yards against CMC and the 49ers, 119. I know they held McCaffrey to a pretty bad yards per attempt. Against the Steelers and Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell, 72 yards. Against the Saints and Kamara and Kendra Miller, 79. Against the Cardinals and Trey Benson, 89. And then against the Buccaneers and Rachaad White and all them, 56 yards rushing. So that's who Etienne's playing. I think I go Brees Hall there. Low darks. I think I go Brees Hall. I just see your starting roster. You have Bijan, Achane, Igbuka, and Debo. That's insane, man. I think I go Brees Hall there. Love, Fields, or Nix. I'm a sucker for rushing quarterbacks, so that's where I generally go. So for me, it's going to be Fields. I'm going to go Fields, even against a tough matchup. I lean Fields just because of the rushing. If you wanted to pivot to one of the other guys, I would go Jordan Love. Kicker rankings. I don't really. I've taken kickers really out of my leagues, so we don't really play kickers anymore. I'll say this: you have the top guys like a Brandon Aubrey, who are just like obviously a must start. And then after that, though, I kind of just take kickers who are playing indoors. That doesn't matter as much until we get a little bit later in the season, but we're getting to that point, mid-October-ish, or, high over-unders and stuff like that. So, I mean, you could put a couple guys out there, low darks, and I can tell you who I would go with, but appreciate you, Apple Seasons. No worries. Who should you start at quarterback, Caleb, Love, or Purdy? I go with Caleb, but I like Love this week too. Is Purdy even going to play? What's the news on Purdy? But yeah, I go Caleb. I don't mind Love though with the matchup. Don't mind Love. I just think also like that game possibly could be a little bit out of hand and like how much are the Packers going to have to do? It might not be with Joe Flacco there, but it could be. I just think Caleb Caleb I kind of look at the Bears a little bit as similar to the Cowboys in that I don't think the Bears defense is great. And so like they're kind of like that fantasy gold a little bit where it's like the Bengals last year, good offense with a bad defense. Like that is the Cowboys this year. And that's why the Cowboys are just like gold for fantasy football on both sides of it. If you have Cowboys players, if you have anyone playing the Cowboys, like that is the team. I think the Bears are kind of like that too, to a certain extent. They've given up 27, 52, 14, and 24. So maybe. I don't know. Drop Woody Marks for Gainwell. I don't know. I said I don't know. I didn't say no. Here's what I'll say about Woody Marks. His usage from his big game 2 weeks ago to last week didn't really change. Now, I know they're on a bye week. So if you need someone to start, Smitty, and Marks is like the last guy on your bench, to like the guy you're not cutting anyone else. He's the guy in question, then you kind of have to, right? That being said, I think I kind of want to keep Woody Marks because I think at best, oh, that guy just smashed a home run. I think at best, Gainwell is going to be like a 50-50 snap share guy. I don't see him just like taking over that backfield. So before Warren got hurt, Warren was playing the couple weeks leading up to his injury. Warren was playing 60, 70% of the snaps, and Gainwell was kind of this 30% snap share guy. Beginning of the season, it was a lot more 50-50. I think that's probably what it goes back to. But that could be not great for fantasy football. Woody Marks, though, his usage didn't really change from week to week. He just didn't have a good game. Obviously, he didn't have as much touches, but like his usage in terms of like his snap share and how he was used was still the same. So I still have a little bit of hope for Woody Marks. But if you have to drop him because you need to start someone, then sure, because he's on a bye, right? You also love me somebody crisp and granny. Yeah. No red delicious. 4KT Owen, running back Gibbs, Judkins, Brown, Rashad. Gibbs, Judkins. Okay, I love the Gibbs, Judkins, and Rashad White for however long Bucky's out is awesome. Wide receiver, St. Brown, Ibuka, Rashee Rice, nice. Pittman, Evans, awesome. Man, you have a stacked team there, Owen. I mean, what moves should you make? So I assume, Owen, that you're playing in a shallow league. So I assume you can't start all these guys, right? Like you're starting Gibbs, Judkins, St. Brown, Ibuka, and then you're flexing like Pittman or Rashad White or something, right? Like basically each and every week you have a guy like Rashad White, Michael Pittman, or something on your bench. Is that right? Let me know if that's right. So what kind of league are you playing in? Because if you're benching one of those guys already, plus Rashee Rice is going to come back, and so now you're gonna like each and every week you're going to be deciding between Rashad White, Rashee Rice, Mike Evans, Michael Pittman. I know that sounds great and all. Like that sounds amazing. Like, oh, look at all this depth I have. I've been in leagues where like you have a shallow starting roster, a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a flex and tight end. And you're choosing between all these players where it's like, man, all these guys are awesome. I don't know who to choose. And you always choose the wrong one. And that's definitely an underrated aspect of fantasy football that we don't think about. It's good to have depth, especially during bye weeks. At the same time, you don't want to get into this blender of like always starting the wrong guy, So it's an 8-man PPR. And you can't, am I right, Owen, that like you're not able to start all these guys on your bench? You have guys like Rashad White or Pittman or Evans. Like one of these guys or 2 of these guys are on your bench, right? I think what I would do is try to get a 1 major piece. I would package. Now it's an 8-man, so I assume a lot of people's rosters are going to look really good. But can I package a couple players here? Can I package a Pittman and a tight end and get like a stud or something? I think it's going to be really hard in an 18 league. I don't think you really need to do too much because I think you have a really good team. But you're going to have to package a couple guys, or you just hold it out and like see, how bye weeks go over the next couple of weeks. We have a bye apocalypse coming up, I think in week 7, where you have like 6 teams on a bye. I think it's week 7 or week 8. So we can kind of hold ship. What's your record, Owen? So I think you're fine, but if you are, like, maybe package like I don't know, a Rachaad White and Pittman or something. I don't know if people are going to be that interested in those guys in an 8-team league, though, unfortunately. I have Bijan, Achane, and Ibuka, Debo. Okay, we talked about that. J-Daz, how big of a gap do you think there is between JSN and Drake London? Okay, so my personal belief is that I have JSN comfortably above London, but I would kind of almost have them. I don't know if they're in the same tier, but I think they're at that point basically where if I'm trading JSN and getting London and anything significant on top of them, I'm probably just going to take the London side each and every time, right? They're close enough to where, if someone's going to give me London and a second, or London and like, an intriguing rookie or young player, or even like a starter in a deeper league or something, I'm probably just going to take that side. But if it was straight up, I would comfortably take JSN over London. I just think he's a better player. A little bit more of a man. Phillies are going off right now. A little bit more of just like a target hog than Drake London. Drake London can be that too as well. So that's kind of where I view those two guys there. J-Dabs. Bo says traded Marvin Brees for Achane. Have plenty of depth at wide receiver. How do we feel about that amid the Brees trade rumors? I think where we stand right now after 5 weeks, I think you won that trade. Could I see you losing that trade? Yes, because I do think Brees. I'm always going to think Brees, like, I think he's a very talented player, and I think he can always just kind of like really. I don't think we've seen like peak Brees Hall over the course of like a 6-7 week stretch, and I think peak Brees Hall can be good as basically any running back in the NFL. It's just, are we going to ever see it or not? I don't know. Marv, I think there's still potential there, but Achane just like, he's just really good, man. And like, he's going to get so many targets, so many catches. He's just not going to go away, So, 6 catches last week in the first week without Tyreek. I know he didn't have great numbers, but he gave you 6 for 50 and a touchdown. So I like that trade where we stand right now. I wouldn't be surprised if we look back on it in a month and you lost that trade, but sometimes you got to make those type of trades. Dripsy, Cook, Emeka, Jake Ferguson for JT and Jigba Bowers. Is it worth it? Cook, Emeka, Ibuka, Jake Ferguson. Man. I mean, JT over Cook. In Jigba versus Emeka, I think is kind of a bit of a wash. I think I would lean JSN. I know Emeka Ibuka has been better than him by like a point per game, but no one at all is going to take anything from JSN. There's no one on the Seahawks that's going to take anything from JSN. We haven't yet seen Evans, Godwin, and Ibuka all on the field at the same time. And so there is a chance that like Emeka Ibuka gets a little bit less. I don't think it's going to happen, but there's a chance. And so for that reason, I lean in Jigba. I like the JT and Jigba side. I like the JT and Jigba side. I think Jonathan Taylor. I mean, Jonathan Taylor right now, guys, is on. He's in PPR, is keeping pace with Christian McCaffrey. That's how awesome Jonathan Taylor's been. By the way, Christian McCaffrey's on pace for like 130 catches, which is the most. That would be like top 10 out of any position in the history of the NFL. By far the most running back catches. And JT is a half a point worse per game in PPR. That's how awesome JT's been. And Jonathan Taylor, it's not like he's not catching any passes. I think he's on like a 45, 50 catch pace, but he's nowhere near. CMC's literally getting 7.5, almost 8 points a game on just catching the ball. Whereas Jonathan Taylor, so CMC is basically getting like 5.5 more points per game just catching the ball than Jonathan Taylor. Yet he's still keeping pace. So I like the JT and Jigba side because I think JT over Cook I would take pretty easily. And then Jigba, Ibuka, and then Jake Ferguson's been awesome, but like when CD comes back, maybe it goes down a little bit. Bowers, it's a risk, but we know what he's capable of. So it's a good trade though, Dripsy. It's an interesting one. I had Fairbairn in bye week, so I picked up Boswell, but McLaughlin, Sly, Colts kicker on the waiver wire. Yeah, again, I would probably go. I mean, Boswell is one of those kickers like you can rely on, but they're playing Cleveland, which I don't love. I mean, Chase McLaughlin is going to be, Buccaneers are just putting up a bunch of points. I'd probably go McLaughlin. We'll get to a few more guys, and then I do have to take off here. We'll be live again tomorrow after the game, so join us. Join us for that. James Cook for Hampton and Myers, or Hampton and Devonta Smith? Like, who would I want to trade? I mean, I would want Devonta Smith over Myers. So I think that answers your question. If I could trade Hampton and Myers and get them, I would do that. If I had to trade Devonta Smith, I'd be okay with it. Parayko, is Walker and RJ Harvey too much for Genty? And rather, I mean, I don't think you're getting Genty. If I can get Genty for Kenneth Walker and RJ Harvey, I would do that in a heartbeat. RJ Harvey's usage is not there. Walker's usage is not there. They're talented players that could have big weeks, but easy Genty there. And rather have Love or Purdy rest of the season, assuming Purdy is healthy. I'll go with Love. Although I think Purdy has a little bit more rushing upside, at least what we've seen. So 3-2. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense in an 8-team league. Exactly how I feel. I asked because that ETN plus Olave deal, I may be able to get straight up for London, or could target JSN, but would probably have to put someone on top. Yeah. I would rather have London rather than ETN, Olave, and something else for JSN. So, Bo, you said Marv never sees the starting lineup for you. No, there you go. I mean, you traded a bench piece, right? So, saw a stat last week. Before last week, something like if you took away all of CMC's rushing yards, he'd still be wide receiver 7 on the year, or RB7 on the year. That's insane, man. I mean, the guy didn't have a touchdown until last week, right? He got a touchdown finally. Like, it's just insane, man. Like, that's why I say I don't want to trade Christian McCaffrey, because the guy's putting up almost 25 PPR points a game, and he has, he has a bunch of receiving touchdowns. He didn't have a rushing touchdown. So, but he has 3 touchdowns in 5 games. We know CMC is like 20 touchdown potential type of player. So, yeah, it's insane, man. He is absolutely insane. Finally won a game. Congrats, Rocky. 1-4 now. Any faith in Vidal or Haskins this week against Miami? I know. That's like the hard part, is like seeing that Rico Dowdle just rushed for 200 yards for them. And by the way, it wasn't just Rico Dowdle that has like destroyed Miami. They gave up 156 yards to the Colts, 122 yards to the Patriots, 157 yards to the Bills, 197 to the Jets. Like, it wasn't just Rico Dowdle. So my problem is I really don't know who it's going to be. It depends on who you're starting them over. Like, if you're deciding between Kamani Vidal or RJ Harvey or Kareem Hunt or Pacheco or something, I'd probably take a shot on Kamani Vidal. If I'm like in the range of guys like Pollard or Ramondre or Michael Carter, I'm going to go those other guys. So it depends who you're starting them over. I don't have faith in either one, to be honest. I would lean Kamani Vidal just because I think he's a little bit more of a wild card. So, hopefully that helps there, Rocky. And congrats on the win. Someone last year, I can't remember who it was. If you're listening and it was you, let me know. But they started off 0-4 or 0-5, and then they won the whole thing. So keep the faith, guys. You just got to make the playoffs. If 6 teams make the playoffs in your league or 5 teams, you probably just have to be 1 or 2 games above 500 and you'll make it. So keep the faith. I just traded away JSN and Chase Brown for Tetaroa, Judkins, Bill, and Miller. I'm 1-4. Was that a good play? I think it's you made a move. You're 1-4. You needed to make a move, right? You traded away an awesome player in JSN and a terrible player in Chase Brown. You got a good player, startable pieces, in my opinion, in Judkins and Tetaroa McMillan. Tetaroa McMillan could have a big game, and we're all going to be like, oh my God, he's top 15. He's one big game away from that. Corey Krosky-Merritt, we hope he had his breakout game. I do caution people slightly by just saying they need to give him more work. I know he's had great games. They still need to give him more work, or else we're not going to be able to rely on Bill. He only played in like 47% of the snaps. If he played in less than 50% of the snaps, if he's only going to get that type of number, 50% of the snaps, 47%, he's going to have to continue to be extremely efficient, like he has been, averaging 8 yards a carry. 8 yards a carry is pretty insane. That's not sustainable. So I hope they use him more because they see him and that he was awesome. But I do caution people a little bit on that. So, but I think you made a move worth, and you kind of had to do it. So I don't mind it at all. I mean, I think you got a good player in Judkins, a startable piece in Tet, a potential startable piece in Bill. If Tet kind of blows up a little bit, I think you easily win this trade. So you kind of got what you could for Chase Brown. You had to tag a good player with him, but you got what you could. So. All right, guys. So I appreciate everyone. Probably going to take off. Join us live tomorrow after the game. We'll go live right after the game. So 9:15-ish my time, 11:15-ish Eastern time. So join us, and appreciate everyone, and make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Catch you guys in the next stream.